So I'm Jim Wetzel. I'm Director of Global Reliability for General Mills. Been there for 30 years. I'm responsible for improving, sustaining, and extending the asset base of all of our assets across the globe. So it's a big job. I'm also Chairman of the Board of the Smart Manufacturing Leadership Coalition, as we try to actually make this Internet of Things actually work and have great applications. So today I'm going to tell you about a little bit of a story about how General Mills got to where we are today, and this concept of heading to the cloud and our journey towards smart manufacturing. And to do that, I really kind of need to tell you a little history. First of all, General Mills, I'll tell you briefly who we are. You know, we make food. We're one of the largest food companies, 43,000 employees. We have another about $19 billion in sales, six continents, global company. Some of the brands, you've seen some of those. I saw they had Nature Valley out there in the racks. They didn't have, they had Dannon yogurt instead of Yoplait, so we need to fix that with ARC. Everyone enjoys their Cheerios. But at the end of the day, we do lots of stuff, right? So you think about this Internet of Things. These are our things. 60 million servings of cereal a day, 27 million cups of yogurt, 14 million Nature Valley bars, 5 million cookies, 2 million dumplings, 2 million green giant vegetables, a million servings of Haagen-Dazs ice cream. We have one factory in the world that makes all the ice cream out of our Ross, France plant. And if you ever get a chance to go to Paris, you can just go north on a high-speed train, get to a Ross, and we have a beautiful factory making ice cream. There's nothing better than getting fresh ice cream off the line. But at the end of the day, the journey that we were on is this concept from micro to macro, and this hopefully looks somewhat familiar to all of your journeys as manufacturers. The real concept here is where do you start in this Internet of Things? You know, I kind of wish that we could turn the clock back 30 years and go, wow, I wish the Internet of Things existed when we were starting this journey. Because the journey really started for us at the unit level. So we talk about Internet of Things, you talk about devices, you talk about connect and stuff. Yeah, right, that's not a new thing. We've been doing that for years. Our journey started off and our mindset was like this. We should just connect everything we got. We should start at the unit level and all the devices at the unit level, figure out how to connect those. So how do you start that journey? You start, this is, peel the onion back quite a few years, and I'll give you a quick little timeline on this. Peel the onion back 20, 25 years. You start with moving from disconnected PLCs, disconnected devices, to a connected device, a connected PLC. You don't have to worry about cybersecurity because it doesn't, you think you're protected because you've got proprietary PLC stuff and you're kind of ignorant of this. So, ignorance went a long ways in the 90s. And you start off with units. And then we said, that's pretty cool. We got this data vacuum cleaner out there. We're collecting 50 million data points a day. What are we going to do with it? And we said, you know what? You can't solve your business problems when you have a unit mentality. You gotta keep thinking about how I add more context to this. So Internet of Things, if all I have is a thing out there that gives me date time value, what am I going to do with that? I need to have the richness of the rest of the story. So for us in manufacturing, the rest of the story starts to build like this. We start with the unit. We grab all the information about the unit. A lot of times it tends to be date time value and what line and what product I'm running through it. Then we move to system. Then we move to plant. Then we move to enterprise, and then now we're moving to supply chain. So where General Mills is on this journey is we're up in the right quadrant. We're up towards enterprise and supply chain. And so going through this journey was really a struggle as we worked with our automation partners, because we were moving at a faster clip than our automation partners were. We were sitting here down having discussion with our enterprise partners, our technology partners, and we're having an enterprise mindset on, and they're trying to sell us units, right? How many devices are you connecting to? How many plants is this happening in? And I would say, at General Mills, I only have one facility. And they went, what do you mean you only have one facility? I have one, as far as you're concerned from a data perspective, data doesn't know where it came from. I only have one facility. Yeah, I might have 80 factories that it's split up into, but I'm thinking at an enterprise level. I want to make sure all of my information flows. I want to build that so it flows so that I can do this supply chain work. Here's our timeline. We really started in 1993. Is when we kind of said, let's start getting connected. That's why I really wish we could turn the clock back, and Peter talked so elegantly about the connected enterprise and connected this and connected that. I wish we didn't have to have these 25 years of background to get to today, but I'm sure a lot of you are in the same boat, right? The world just didn't start today. You have a lot of legacy. And our legacy goes from connection. And what were we trying to achieve with connection? We're just trying to get visualization. We thought, you know, if I started collecting data from those units, and then I did something simple as trending it, if all I did was trend it, good things would happen, right? Because we got a lot of smart engineers. The engineers would look at that information, and they would act on it. They'd use it for troubleshooting, et cetera. So we said, collect data, let's visualize and trend it. Then we got more mature. In 1998, we started doing MES across all locations. We did quality, we did manufacturing performance, and then probably the smartest thing we did was we architected the master solution on IS standards. Instead of using proprietary manufacturing technologies, I went to our IT people and said, what standards do you support? Because at the end of the day, I didn't want to support it from a control perspective. So they said, well, our standards are HP, our standards are Cisco, our standards are Oracle. So I started building I built a homegrown MES system because we couldn't find one in the market, and we built it on conventional IT standards, so it was supportable in our organization. Then once I crossed that bridge, and that was all for quality manufacturing reporting. That was the outcome. That's the value add. 1999, we ended up merging our IS and our engineering organization in control automation. So you hear in this conference about IT and OT, we merged that together in 1999. So we've been doing this for 15 plus years as a merged organization. The big thing there was about getting one team. The other thing about that was common technology. So you think about where everybody came from. Everyone came from proprietary technology where the control guy knew all his stuff and the IT guy knew all his stuff, and they'd argue each other about whose stuff is better. What was happening in the 1990s, mid-1990s? Microsoft was coming to the factory floor. All of a sudden now what was happening in the front office, in the back office, in the plant office is the same technology. So our engineers who used to debate about whose technology was better are now using the same stuff. And all of a sudden that allowed us to actually put people together, and it didn't matter if they're fixing the email server or if they're actually rebooting the historian, they knew how to do that. And so that was one team. 2004, we really took a big, bold jump into manufacturing excellence. And we went after dashboarding, centralized data, and one global plant, this concept of the enterprise. And that was to really get after enterprise analysis. We make Cheerios, as an example, in 5 factories across the United States. My job to improve our assets was to understand how Cheerios are made uniformly across the factories and where the opportunity is. So I have to take a higher level look at things. Organizationally in General Mills, we moved our functions to a platform-based function instead of a business team function. So now our common platforms, our common technologies are not only managed from a technology perspective, they're managed from a business perspective. That's a big shift in trying to get after the connected enterprise. In 2007, we expanded our MES solution to actually go after demand-driven supply chain. This whole concept that we need to connect the world outside of our own box, and we need to hook into supply and demand and do that in real time. We did that. Our first plant went up in 2007. Where we did SAP integration, inbound management, recipe management, direct consumption, production order management, and then our first implementation of going after this concept of workflow, which Peter briefly had in his slide, that in the cloud we need to do workflow. So we were early adopters of that, and that is an awesome thing that you guys should be paying attention to. And today, we're stepping it up one more notch and going after smart manufacturing. And for us, smart manufacturing, obviously, we're kind of going back to the beginning. We're doing visualization in the cloud. I'll show you a quick story on that. Green light traceability. For us making food, we have to be able to make sure we know where food came from one step ahead of us and one step behind us in the supply chain, and that's a U.S. regulation. So I need to know not just how I manufactured it, but I need to know where it came from, and I need all that information from a genealogy perspective. Supplier managed inventory, we're taking advantage of a lot of the power of a big company and trying to make sure that our suppliers are actually manage our inventory, and we're not paying for our inventory until we actually consume it in the factory. So that really reduces work in process and the cost of work in process when you have those capabilities. So that means that our inventory positions, our inbound receivings, all that kind of stuff has to be totally transparent. And ultimately, the concept is transparency and visualization of our entire supply network. So then that forced us to start thinking about this cloud thing. So you think about, I just told you the story about how we get connected. We were getting connected through all internal servers and all internal networks. But then to get after this smart journey, we have to think about outside the box, because we can't just extend our systems into our customers' systems or into our vendor systems. We have to figure out how to connect with them with whatever they had. And that became an issue because the very first wave, and this conference has been about cybersecurity in a big way. This list of stuff is the first list of stuff that our security folks, our legal folks come to the table with is, okay, fine, you can go to the cloud, but don't share anything confidential. You can go to the cloud, but don't connect to anything, don't connect to any internal databases so that there's a tunnel into any of our stuff. Yeah, go ahead and use software as a service, but really treat if you have a cloud application and it's standalone, that's a great place to start. Go do that. So how many value created applications meet those requirements? Very few, right? But there's our internal, that's our General Mills barrier. Okay, go achieve that. Well, we started. And when you do that, when you're not connected to anything, how do you admin it? We have 43,000 employees in General Mills that all have single sign-on. Now they want to bring up a trend. They go to the cloud, guess what? How do they get credentialed? I now have to manage 43,000 people a second time for that single application in the cloud. If I put another application in the cloud, I've got to do it a third time, then I got to do it a fourth time, then I got to do it a fifth time. Because if I can't federate my systems, if I can't deal with the cybersecurity, I've got independence. So if I followed the rules of the first slide, I'm creating a mess, and I'm creating a big mess in my second slide because I don't have federation. Everyone's paranoid on cybersecurity. Is it real or is it paranoia? It's probably a little bit of both. Data movement, how does stuff get updated? And then what's the speed of response in this cloud solution? These were all the challenges that we were facing. So here's our simple example, and I left my phone on the table, but in a very simple manner, very similar to one of Peter's, I think it was case number 1, we are taking data from our historian from the factory floor, converting it into performance metrics, bringing it up to the cloud, and bringing it back to my iPhone, iPad, whatever device. And who's the customer? The customer is my team leader, my production manager, my plant manager, who wants to be notified about how their line's running. Not just in raw values, but in actually transformed business metric values. And we're doing that today. And this product actually comes from Schneider. And they just released a feature that we've been asking for multiple years, and that is to take advantage of the iOS system where we get notifications, right? Because how many people are going to go and constantly look at their phone versus being beeped at their phone? So the solution here, the connected solution is that our line is going to be running in the factory. We are going to be applying our analysis to that factory in real time. We're going to send that information to the cloud, and we're going to notify people when action needs to take place. Because at the end of the day, this is about acting on information, not just informing people and then ignoring it. Not having your phone go off in your pants pocket and then hit silent. It's about being aware of this information and then acting on it. There's the architecture, and quite interestingly enough, this is the example we started where we said, no, we're not going to do the cloud. We're going to start and put everything internally. A little bit about architecture. We basically can connect to anything. But the interesting story is we've now switched. We are moving this from a private internal cloud to a public cloud. All the issues about, are you sure it's secure? Is this information confidential? The paranoia of cybersecurity. We're now moving it out. We're addressing user administration, we're addressing cybersecurity, and ultimately, at the end of the day, it's more supported by the vendor. When you take a look at this, a lot of our decisions are not just based on what we did, but also based on the collective community of our technology partners. So Peter had the slide of the iceberg, and on that iceberg it talked about value add and the cost of this and the cost of that. That's exactly what we were seeing. So we started on this journey kind of in a go slow, risk-averse mode, and then are getting more comfortable with the current offerings and the current way that the solution partners are addressing security and addressing federation and things like that, so that we can actually get value. And that's our story, and that's kind of where we're at General Mills. We've got a number of other applications in the cloud on the supply chain side as well. I just wanted to kind of highlight what we're doing in the real-time manufacturing side. So thank you very much.